Right now, we're going to be talking about the school that has been facing legal action over a ban on pupils praying in the playground. The news has hit the headlines after it emerged there'd been a High Court legal case and that the school involved, well, a woman already well known to many of us, the country's strictest head teacher, as she's been billed, Katharine Birbalsingh, the founder and head teacher of Michaela Community School, also former chair of the Social Mobility Commission. And I'm delighted to say she joins us right now here on TalkTV in her first broadcast interview on this issue. Good morning to you, Katharine.
Morning.
Thank you so much for
Morning.
joining us. This is an incredible story. Now, the story sort of hit the headlines before we knew it was the Michaela school that was involved, that there was this legal action brought by a female Muslim pupil who could only be known by the initials TTT against a ban on prayer at her school. Media fought to find out which the school was. Your school, of course, often in the news over you being, the country's strictest head teacher, always outspoken on a lot of key issues that I know my audience and I care an awful lot about. But this is a rather more complicated story than a lot of the media would suggest. We've got a bit of time here. Tell us what has actually happened at the school and how you've got into a situation where we've got this incredibly expensive, incredibly stressful legal case with the pupil and the school, and even leading to death threats, bricks thrown through teachers' windows, teachers afraid to come to school on their own because of these death threats. What is actually going on and how did it start, Katharine?
Yeah, well, and it's important to say that there was a media ban on reporting this before, that we fought very hard to keep because of the worries around the danger that some of us might be in if it were the case that the media could report on it. The judge decided to lift the media ban, and so that's why I'm now out in the public trying to defend why it is that we decided to take that decision. For 8 years, we never had any prayer at the school, so the
It's a
children were
secular
always
school.
allowed to pray.
It's an openly secular school. You're not a faith
Yes,
school of any kind.
yes, and of course people can pray in their head, but we're really talking about prayer rituals here.
Mhm.
And uh, for 8 years, nobody's ever prayed. It's always been the case that we haven't had prayer rooms, and we make that very clear to all of the families who come to the school, and we do that right at the start. We make all sorts of things clear about us because we're a different kind of school. So we explain to the families that there's family lunch where the children all share the same food together. We explain how there are silent corridors where they don't talk to each other. They just say morning miss, morning sir, and so on. We explain how we have very high standards, which will result in them being in detention quite a lot. And there are all sorts of things. We also explain that we don't have a prayer room. And, we opened in 2014 with 30% of our population being Muslim. We have since grown that to 50% of our population being Muslim. So clearly the Muslim families are happy with the situation. And while they would prefer a prayer room, they decide, you know what, we're going to take it,
What is
as
the
it is.
reason why you wouldn't have a prayer room? Bearing in mind, of course,
Yeah.
different religions have different rituals around prayer.
Yes, yes. So the building is not a typical school building. It's really an office block. We have very small corridors. We have 7 floors instead of 2, and combine that with our ethos, which is one of being super strict, and our silent corridors, also our family lunch, which requires supervision of all of the staff. First of all, the idea of one prayer room, there are 350 children who are Muslim. So
Yeah.
clearly we would need several prayer rooms. Well, we can't give up several prayer rooms because we just don't have the space because it's already difficult enough to make this building work with the classrooms. So it would mean allowing all of the classrooms to be open and for the children to roam as they like to find a room where they might like to pray. We would have to remove the bags from the rooms that are currently in there. The children would have to carry their coats and bags with them, which they don't do in the school. We would have to get rid of our silent corridors, and we would probably have to get rid of our family lunch as well,
Yeah.
because the structure of our ethos and system is such that it just can't work
So
with us having lots
it's
of prayer
completely
rooms.
practical, and this wasn't really an issue at all. And then suddenly it changed. One girl
Yeah.
decided she
So
wanted to pray in the playground.
Yes, we have always allowed prayer in the yard. So for people who say we don't like prayer, well, that's not true. We always said that it could happen in the yard. It just didn't happen for 8 years. Um, and you know, and my own background is very diverse. I have had a Muslim grandmother. You know, it's not. This has nothing to do with disliking Islam. It's just about making our school work within the confines of our ethos. And so children prayed. It was fine. There's nothing wrong with it. But then a whole campaign started online on social media, campaigning for a prayer room. And I presume maybe people outside saw us through the gates. I don't know. This campaign resulted in thousands of signatures, then resulted in death threats towards us. One of my Black teachers had the worst kind of racism, calling her a monkey, the N-word, the C-word. It was just horrible, horrible racism sent to the school and to her. One teacher had an attempted break into her flat at home. One teacher had a brick through her window. We had bottles thrown into the yard. So all of this intimidation and aggression and so on was coming from outside. Within the school, though, it was interesting because when they prayed, more and more children started praying over days. And what happened was, this was during Ramadan, and some of the Muslim children don't want to fast during Ramadan. Some of them don't want to pray. Some of them don't necessarily wear a hijab. And what happened was there was a lot of pressure put on those children suddenly, which was never there before, but a lot of pressure was put on them to either pray. They would stand by the break food table and stop Muslim children from eating when they wanted to eat. One girl dropped out of the choir because music was haram. One girl started wearing a hijab because, you know, she needed to cover her hair.
Pressure basically to, if you're really a Muslim, you're a proper Muslim, a devout Muslim, you will do these things. Whereas, again, their parents have chosen to send them to a secular school, and these children are able to follow their religion as they choose as an individual. And now there's peer pressure to basically to be a certain kind of Muslim.
And the happy, lovely, joyful place that our school is changed radically. And we saw that change in the culture. So there was the change in the culture within the school walls, but then there was the social media campaign, which resulted in death threats. We had a bomb threat. Police had to come and search the school. We had police outside all of the time. We had to hire security. It put everyone's lives in danger. So the governors rightly took the decision, in my opinion, to ban prayer rituals happening in the yard. So we have been taken to court for us to have prayer rooms on the inside of the building, because I think it's recognized that it puts us in danger if we're outside the building. But physically, that just can't happen. We would have to change our entire ethos. And so then the question becomes, is it right for a school to have to change their whole ethos? Because we would no longer be Michaela. We would become a normal school. And I don't think that's right, because I love our school the way that it is. And our multicultural intake, multiracial intake is, look, in order for us to work here together in harmony, for children to be friends with each other across racial and religious divides, it's necessary for some of the groups to sacrifice in certain ways. So the Jehovah's Witnesses, they are upset that we have Macbeth as our set text at GCSE, but they put up with it. There are Hindu families that have complained about the fact that eggs touch the plates at lunch, and should they have separate plates? I'm unwilling to divide children according to race and religion, so I have said no. There are Christian families who have complained about our GCSE revision sessions being on Sundays. We have all of these different groups that we need to have getting on with each other and being friends with each other. And that is one of the things, the thing I'm most proud of, I've always said this, is that while we get the top Progress 8 in the country, we're the top school, right? Last 2 years, we've been the top secondary school in the country. I've always said the thing I'm most proud of is the fact that the children are so lovely, who they are, you know? And that is because we very much teach them to sacrifice when necessary in order for the betterment of the whole.
Yeah, to compromise. So we used to do this as the norm, as opposed to, I don't like this, I'm offended, so everyone else has to change because of me. And again, You're the head teacher. They know what they signed up to. I mean, if they didn't, wow, I mean, they've been living under a rock for quite a long time. So again, it's people going somewhere and then saying, no, but I want it all to bend around me. But there's also a story that emerged over the weekend that the girl involved, and she can't be named, and quite rightly, she's a child, who pushed this case, funded by legal aid, no doubt. It's going to be huge, huge, huge cost for this case. But that actually she brought this case around the same time that she was suspended from school for threatening to stab another pupil at the school. Is that correct?
Well, I don't want to go into the details of the case on that level. I don't really talk about
Is
that.
that completely untrue? No.
I wouldn't want.
Okay, but there may be other reasons why this is brought. Can I just ask, how is the school funding that legal action? And I love you for standing up for it. I love you not giving in and actually standing your ground. Such an important part of what your school stands for. And I want a Katharine Birbalsingh running a Michaela school in every local neighbourhood. I mean, it would transform our country. But how are you actually funding that? Are people donating? What's the deal there?
Well, we have insurance, so the majority is covered by insurance, so we're okay. But it's less the financial stress. You know, it's the stress around the media. It's the stress around you know, people's lives being in danger. That makes this so difficult. I know that there was a whole conversation around Ruth Perry, the head teacher who committed suicide, with the Ofsted visit. And, you know, the thing is, I don't think it's unreasonable for Ofsted to visit schools.
And they're
but I
restarting inspections today. Yeah.
Yes, indeed. But I do think it's unreasonable for head teachers to be put under this kind of stress that I'm under.
Yeah.
And all we're trying to do is run a school. I'm trying to run a school according to the ethos that we've got that works, that has worked for 10 years, where we have been, where we're a very happy place here with our Muslim families and all our other families being very happy together.
Yeah.
So, and like you say, they know who I am. Look, we actually I meet with every single family before they join the school to be clear with them on what they're signing up for.
Yeah.
For exactly this reason. They all come for these meetings and I talk to all of them and I run through all the things that make us different, because you may not want us. And some people
Yeah.
think, I don't want silent corridors. And so they go off somewhere else.
Yeah.
And you know what?
But
If you think I really want a prayer room, well, there's lots of schools that provide.
But exactly, there are so many different faith schools. I don't approve of faith schools anyway. I think all schools should be mixed faith and, you know, mixed ethnicity. I think dividing, I mean, how well has that worked out, dividing people by their religion? Northern Ireland will tell you exactly how well that works out. But I mean, in terms of, can I ask you about the culture wars? I mean, Keir Starmer's accusing the Tories of stoking the culture wars. You know, you originally, you know, you worked in a central London school and you spoke at Labour Party conference, you know, so Tory Party conference, and they were hounded out of the school for actually speaking up about what is effectively a culture war issue that has been going on in our schools, the ideology, trans ideology, the woke ideology. Do you think that Keir Starmer's right, that this is just being stoked by the Tories, or is it something we need to be talking about?
Well, I think some of us are talking about these issues, and I think it's important that we do talk about them. I don't understand this idea that that things have not changed. I mean, obviously, in the last 10 years, things have changed quite radically in our schools. You can talk about critical race theory, you can talk about decolonization, you can talk about the trans issue, you can talk about adult authority having disappeared.
Yep.
You can talk about, I mean, there's so many different issues that in the last 10 years have come up and are changing schools. And so one might say that's for the better or for the worse, but we should definitely recognize that changes are taking place and that we need to talk about them. And the thing that I think people just don't realize, and I think this is on both the left and the right, is just how important schools are to the future of any country. Both families and schools shape our children. And it's in school where you learn to get on with others who don't look like you. It's at school where you learn the histories and the cultures of other people and how you know, how to be as a person.
Yep.
You know, school isn't just about getting GCSE results.
No.
It's about helping our children to be good citizens.
And muddling along with other people who you disagree with. And it's fine. Katharine, you know you're an absolute hero of mine, and I know for many in our audience as well. It's been amazing talking to you. We're going to let you get back to running the very brilliant Michaela School. I say, best school in the country. I mean, she delivered. You can't say she didn't deliver. I really wish you the best luck. I know we're not going to get that result from the High Court for quite some time. We'll see when we do get it. Hopefully you'll come back on. But your first broadcast interview with us exclusively here at TalkTV, very much appreciate it. Katharine Birbalsingh, CBE, of course, founder of Michaela School. Thank you.